What it do? It's your boy Cinco Bands the man. Trying to get 100 grand. You know I got the plan. We back, man. Yes, sir. We bike. Welcome back to the most valuable podcast. Episode 71. We are back in this thing, man. Yes, sir. Shout out to everybody on their way to work. Shout out to everybody on their way to school. Shout out to everybody. Peace, love, and prosperity. Now, we're on to this Diddy trial. We up early with the fuckery. We trying to see what Act doing. I know he covering it. Let's get it.
Wix gives you the freedom to tell your story with a professional website that reflects who you are and what you have to offer.
Here we go.
Customize every element.
One thing I won't compromise on is my voice being stifled or being quieted, or you can't control my opinion about anything having to do with Rock Nation or anything else. I'm not here to try to make y'all look bad or whatever the case. I'm not trying to be slanderous, but I want to be truthful to what I know and I believe is truthful. But I think me and them were trying to get close. Because I'm telling you, this weekend they hit me. Then they hit me. They said, "What's going on? Rock Nation has filed several claims against you." And it's not only through Instagram. It's on Facebook. So if anyone over there at Rock Nation hears this and y'all can click it, I would love to engage y'all in a civil conversation. Unless y'all don't want to do civil, that's okay as well. That's okay as well. I'm gonna take this to mean that this is one of them shots that work with somebody else. But, thankfully, as much as I'm not liked to right? Anyway, we'll continue from there. I just wanted to put this out there. Rock Nation damn near sent me the video and damn near copyright struck me for the video. Why? They're like, what the fuck I said? And I tell you, to any upcoming blogger, journalist, media personality, remember I always say this. This is why y'all should take money for promo or whatever, but never take money for your opinion. Remember I told you, if they could buy your opinion, worthless. They could give you this, make you think that. This is why when people say Drake is paying you, I find it offensive. You can't pay me to think the way I think. If anybody could pay you to think the way you think, the worthless. I've always operated off of that, and I'll continue. So anyway. Okay, so that was the other issue. Put it behind us. Let's get into the Diddy trial, people. Diddy trial is here. Diddy trial is here. We are getting to the deliberations. I believe in about an hour there should be start deliberating, but let's get into it. So, it started about 59 minutes ago. Judge Submarinian, he actually entered. The judge says in this case, in case there's anything, we'll bring the jury in for charges, okay? Unless there's anything. Garagos says the laptop is ready. There's a few things we'll finalize during the charge. So these are like laptops that the jury could be able to see some of the things easier, that they don't have a million pages or like booklets or whatever. They could just refer to like laptops. I guess they're going to either pass it around or maybe they have duplicate laptops for all of them. So these laptops have all the approved evidentiary stuff and all the things that as per the judge, it has been approved for the jury to see, okay? So the laptop is ready. That's what Garagos is saying. By the way, keep in mind, they spent all weekend working on this. The judge says just email it to the changes, okay? So I'm guessing that is, maybe it's not laptop.
I got it.
The judge says all rise. The jury's come in. He says I'm gonna read you the charge. It's long.
I got the video on
you have now heard all the evidence in this case.
He gonna be
as
live
well
for
as
some
final
hours.
arguments.
So I can go drop you off.
I will only instruct you on the law. I give it to you. The evidence is testimony, the answers and the exhibits are evidence. Well, the answers and the exhibits are just evidence, and the arguments. The arguments are not evidence, but the exhibits and answers are evidence. Okay. Sole and exclusive arbiters of the facts. What is reasonable doubt? Well, it's based on your common sense. After carefully weighing all the evidence,
I'm already ready.
You may weigh each witness' credibility, the truth and the importance of their testimony. Size him or her up. You must decide. Sean Combs has been formally charged in an indictment. The indictment is not evidence. Count 1 charges from 2004 to 2024. It's a racketeering enterprise. Count 2, 2009 to 2018. Sex trafficking of Cassie Ventura. Count 3, from 2009 to 2018. Transportation of individuals, including but not limited to Cassie Ventura for the purposes.
Are they really trying to charge him with trafficking Cassie?
Of prostitution.
That's crazy.
Count 4, from 2019 to 2024, sex trafficking of Jane Doe. Count 5, from 2019 to 2024, transporting individuals, including but not limited to Jane, for the purposes of prostitution.
Gorilla pimping.
Each count is separate. For attempt. For attempt, the U.S. must show intent and substantial steps taken. Mere intention does not. Oh, okay. Okay. Yes. So they have these statutes where it's like sometimes attempted murder gets put under a murder statute, right? So certain things will be attempt. Like for example, they had pursued or initially claimed they wanted to pursue Diddy for arson and attempted arson. Okay? So they're speaking to all these charges that have attempt, right? And they're saying for attempt, the U.S. must show intent and substantial steps taken. Mere intention does not amount to an attempt. Aiding and abetting means knowing some act to aid or encourage a crime to be committed. For RICO, U.S. must prove that from 2004 to 2024, there was an agreement between two or more individuals for a racketeer enterprise. Now, chat, this is going to be really interesting. Remember, KK doesn't come in until 2016. So the co-conspirator KK is until 2016, but here's the thing, D-Rock is there the whole time. So D-Rock is going to be the person who is the first co-conspirator because he was there before KK. Okay? Yeah, I believe that time was right. I don't think KK was listed in the indictment pre-2016. Anyway. So, again, none of these co-conspirators are charged, right? Cool. The agreement between two or more individuals for a racketeer enterprise that impacted interstate commerce that the defendant joined and committed at least 2 predicate acts. The U.S. must prove a mutual understanding to cooperate. You may infer its existence of the circumstances in this case. Actions may speak louder than words. You may consider the acts of all those who try to be participants. You find that the Combs enterprise existed. You must find whether it continued in a substantial similar form from 2004 to 2020. The people could change. As to the defendant being a member, he had to know the existence of the enterprise. The U.S. alleged
Blaze one for the nation.
predicate offenses. Okay, wow. They're doing some Texas speech. Predicate offenses. Kidnapping, arson, bribery, witness tampering, forced labor, sex trafficking, transportation of prostitution, and intent to distribute narcotics. Chat, we've discussed these before. I said this was BS. I think this is BS. Witness tampering is BS. I think forced labor, I'm going to say BS as well. Sex trafficking, I'm going to say yes. It's probably closer. Transportation of prostitution, I say yes. Actually, iffy on the sex trafficking. Right? You can't tell if there's sex trafficking. I don't think there's clear
Same
sex
shit, same traffic.
and transportation of prostitution. I think that's a yes. Intent to distribute, I say no. So I think there's one predicate. If you're asking me, I'm not on the jury. So I think there's one clear predicate offense. I don't think he kidnapped none. I don't think we have proof. I think he did do the Kid Cudi shit, but I don't think we got proof that he burnt off. Bribery.
Oh, it's a clinic.
If he didn't know there was a fucking investigation going on, I don't know. Right? Like, was he trying to bribe? Probably. But like, again, it's not what he's trying to do; it's what he did according to the law. Right? So, all of these things he may have done. I'm not saying he ain't do none. I'm saying he may have done all these things. But the evidence that we got through the trial, I don't think it supports this, witness tampering, or this, because he didn't know Shorty was in the grand jury. Forced labor, I don't know. That's kind of iffy. Sex traffic, I think that's 50-50, just because of Cassie. And then transportation for prostitution, I say yes. Intent to distribute narcotics. You know, the AUSA gave us a flip of intent to distribute in their closing. They said you don't have to intend to sell the narcotics. Buying drugs to pass out at the freak-offs is intent to distribute. I don't know. You know, he needs to get found guilty of 2. He needs to prove that 2 of these offenses happened in a 10-year succession. Okay? The judge says kidnapping does not have to occur if the victim consented. Okay? So kidnapping does not occur if the victim. Oh, okay. This is why I believe the victim's 100%. Like, for example, like there's an evidence where kidnapping. Like, I don't know if we kidnap Mia. Mia says, "Oh no, I want to go do the I want to prove my loyalty." They said, "Why did you do all this stuff?" And did the what do you call it again? Lie detector. And she said she wanted to prove her loyalty, right? She wanted to prove that, yo, I'm down with the program, right? And I'm honest and loyal. So she consented. Now, here's the thing. Consenting under coercion is still kidnapping. If somebody has a gun to your head and says, "Go in there," you're like, "Okay, I'll go in there." That's not consent. So, you know, obviously there's this whole thing. It's a dark cloud hanging over this case about people's words versus their actions. If Cassie says, "I'm horny and I'm going to get someone to come fuck me and I'm going to have a wild king out or a freak off," is she saying this willingly, or she's saying this because she's scared and she's been financially coerced and all these things? See, that's what the jury's gonna have to that's the biggest decision I think they gotta make. You know what I mean? Like, the biggest decision they gotta make is, do you believe that these people, even when at times they say something, do you believe their words versus their actions? Or do you believe their words on the stand versus their actions and their words at the time? For example, Jane Doe gets mad at me. He tells her, "Bitch, you could kick rocks. Leave. It's all good. Get out of here. Skedaddle." She still stays. Now, if you listen to Dr. Hughes,
hey, my nigga, act you skedaddle. Skedaddle.
And they said that there's part of victimhood where you feel stuck. You can't go anywhere. You don't want to go. Okay, perhaps. But again, you know, the jury has to make this decision. Right? It's like, so there's 3 kidnapping cases, right? There's 3 kidnapping cases. You brought Mia to a warehouse for 4 days in a row to get her life.
These juries are about to make one of the toughest decisions they probably have ever made. They got this man's life in their hands. Now, I know he did some of this shit. The world know he did some of this shit. But did he do enough to get racketeering charges? Y'all let me know in the comments. Hit that follow, hit that like. You already know you rocking with the most valuable podcast this morning. I hope I'm keeping y'all entertained this morning while y'all on y'all way to work, on y'all way to school, on y'all way to y'all little you feel me? Yes, Sirski.
Cribs to recover, and then they agreed, "Oh, okay, you could go to the hotel." Seemed like she's agreeing. However, there was this idea that she just got clobbered. She got beat up. So could she properly consent? Maybe she's so scared. You got to make that decision. That would be the jury that has to answer. Then, what's the other case? The other case is Capricorn Clark. Diddy comes in, supposedly banging on her door with a gun. Bang, 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 bang. She opens the door. What up, Diddy? He says, get the fuck ready. We about to go kill Kid Cudi. She happens in the car with Diddy. Diddy has a gun on his lap. She gets taken from one place to another, kidnapped. Supposedly against her will, she did not want to be there. However, when she testified, she never said Diddy threatened her. She couldn't say no. She did say she was scared. Is it? This is what I'm saying. Like, this case is going to be so interesting.
It's pretty close.
It's going to be so interesting. Most likely because if you like Diddy, or if you think, oh, these bitches are lying, you're not gonna think the worst. You're gonna be like, nah, man, like, yeah, was he a freaky ass bull? Like, yo, he a freaky ass dude. He gay, whatever. But these chicks knew what it was, and da-da-da-da. You know? I got a lot of these. You know what happened before me? I don't know if it's true. You respond. But I reached out to this individual several times for to do an interview. Now it's being turned to me. Apparently, Rodney Jones, Lil Rodney.
What? Lil Rod?
The guy who, I'll read you. Good morning. We represent Rodney Jones, who, as you know, is one of the main reasons Sean Diddy Combs is facing life in prison. His lawsuit is probably cause for the raids on Diddy's property. In the beginning, Rodney spent 5 days with federal authorities that helped build this historic case.
5 days.
And shared so much mind-blowing information. This comes to record. Okay. We'll see. Yeah. You do what?
They talking like Diddy going down right now. His publicist already ready to do a press run for him. They feel Diddy going down this week. He already setting up press runs for him. This is crazy.
So, he says bribery of a witness under California law requires that the co-conspirator gave or promised to give a bribe to a person given or about to give information on law enforcement to unlawfully influence him.
I got my hair braided. Shout out to wifey. Yeah, feel me? Y'all in the Vegas area need that crap did. You feel me? For a nice price, gotta come with a nice fee, and she gonna get you right. You feel me?
Either everybody on that jury pool hates Diddy, or he's innocent. They're just gonna come back with an innocent verdict. Here's why this is also tough. This bribery. It's kind of like when Donald Trump paid off that woman. Like, she was a prostitute, he cheated on this girl, he smashed this like porn stuff.
Who else up at 7:30 in the morning for y'all in these YouTube streets other than me and Ack? Who else up? And Ack on East Coast time. You feel me? It's about 10 in the morning where he at. Yeah, it's 7:30 where I'm at. Let's get it.
Someone like Donald Trump, you want to keep people silent from saying things that's going to hurt you. Right? That's normal. Like, you know, and that's what Diddy's lawyers argue. Hey, we never try to interrupt no federal investigation or any investigation, period. Diddy just doesn't want smut on his name. If he paid off anybody, it's because he ain't want a video coming out. That could make him look crazy, could devalue him. That's reasonable to me. Again, I think it would be reasonable to a regular person, but who knows? You never know how the jury's going to think. So, the argument of the prosecutors, bruv, you knew you were under federal investigation. And you know what they're using? And they said this during the cross. Diddy told one of these chicks, he told Jane, I can't, he says, this is after the lawsuit filed by Cat. He said, I can't really talk on the phone. Then he told somebody else, I just want you to jog my memory. So why would someone say they can't talk on the phone? Is it because of a civil case? Or you don't want to get out in the press? Nah. Maybe you think your line's attacked. Why would you think your line's attacked? Maybe you think you're under investigation. So that's how the prosecutors look at it. No, he was clearly trying to tamper with witnesses. He was telling them I can't talk on the phone. One of the other situations, he has D-Rock hit up Mia. Like, yo, Mia, everything good? Like, yeah, nah, Puff was trying to get in contact with you, trying to make sure, everything's straight. Why don't you jog his memory real quick? No?
Damn.
She's like, yeah, I've been low on a little Skrilla.
He wants you to
D-Rock,
jog
you need
his
some
memory.
rat? We can send that over to you. She said, no, I'm good. He said, well, Diddy's going to call you soon, okay? Just pick up. Diddy called you. They're thinking that's a bribe or a witness to it.
And for those of you that don't know, free Haiti. Shout out all the Haitians, man, getting caught up in this migration stuff. Shout out everybody. Free the Haitians.
And that's just all of these charges, chat, they're not clear cut. And the RICO alone, I think today, they're gonna argue about that for hours. They have 8 predicate acts. All of these, there's multiple instances the prosecutors alleging of these predicate acts, and they have to vote and narrow it down to see if there's 2, along with if there's an element, along with who's going to conspire, and along if they've been doing it within a succession of 10 years. Like, it's all of that.
So it has to be 2 acts within 10 years. Did he commit 2 of those acts within a 10-year period?
There's 2 things to do with bribery and witness tampering. Giving the guy the Intercontinental Hotel the money. But Diddy's team is saying that's because we don't want it on TMZ. We don't want it in the media to charge his reputation. It's not about hindering an investigation. Actually, they even double down and say police were never called. That's a good defense. Y'all never even called the cops. How the hell could we? Now, granted, you heard what the judge says. Bribery requires a co-conspirator to give a bribe or promise to give a bribe to someone that's given information or who was about to give information. Now, here's the thing. Nothing in that, in what the Flores dude testified, admitted that he was going to. He never admitted that he was going to call the cops. He never said that. The only person who said the cops was Diddy when he was trying to get Cassie back. But they never said, and the guy never testified, oh, we were going to call the cops. In fact, the cops were going to call. So that I don't think is bribery. Even though it would look like bribery, but there was no investigation. The cops never investigated.
Some of you niggas out there right now need to be charged with RICO. If we going off of this, I know a lot of niggas that should have got a RICO. And that's crazy. These acts, they're not hard to get found guilty of. They're making it simple for the jury to just hang his ass. It's crazy.
Dawn Rashad, she got threatened. She got thrashed. But it's Mia. Yo, Mia, you running low on money. You want some bread? That's when they were trying to recount her time with Diddy.
Right.
So they're thinking that's a promised bribe. Now, here's the thing. one thing that the prosecutors or the defense team did, and this is why I like everything we're saying, all of these charges of money, what the two prosecution charges of money? Bribery, usually, it also matters if you say an amount. Oh, yo, I got 10 grand. If it's just like, yo, I got something for you, that's vague. Not saying it's not bribery, but it's vague. They like for you to put to a dollar amount. The team said was, well, we weren't the person who brought up money in the conversation. Mia brought up money.
Right.
Mia said she was running low on cash.
Right. So is that a bribery?
D-Rock didn't even do that on behalf of Diddy. When he said,
is that a bribery? If a motherfucker say I'm low on cash and you like, you need some money, I'm gonna send you some money, and nigga do it on behalf of you, out of love of you, do you get charged with bribery for that?
yeah. So that's the defense's argument on, we never bribed this chick, or tried to. We never said an amount. They brought up money. They said it was low on money. We said, all right, we got you. Sidebar. Chat. I'm trying to sit with Unc. I'm trying to sit with Unc tomorrow. I'm gonna coordinate my schedule with that me and Unc.
Oh shit, Atkins 607 Unc is going down. Hilarious.
Dub. Getting to a place where we're doing 3 days. We're doing Wednesday this week without a break. I will see if I can somehow get everybody in the same room. Me, Born Commons, Logic, and even Unc. You know? That'll be good. Alright. The judge says a person may withdraw consent. Okay, so, alright. But it must be known. Okay, so for witness tampering, it's a violation of 18 USC 18 section 1512 D3. It doesn't matter if the subject of the threat is in fact fearful. Okay? Only a threat is required. So witness tampering, there would have to be a threat. Now, remember, witness tampering, we have heard about threats being made. Like Diddy was just like, remember with the Mia thing, yo, listen, you fucked this up. Like, I think they had said like generally, but she felt like it may have applied to her. Yo, whoever who took that man's jewelry, and whoever failed this like lie detector, y'all niggas going, yo, their body's gonna end up in the East River. Fact. Y'all niggas can't steal from the big ditster like that. The diddler ain't gonna take that. But that wasn't a person who was gonna be a witness. That could be probably used towards maybe the coercion. That's why kidnapping happened. You know, like, yeah, she couldn't have consented. Y'all was threatening her to fucking throw her in the East River. So witness tampering is probably gonna come from anything after the Cassie lawsuit. Who was he talking to? What happened then? When he was trying to jog everybody's memory. Mia, Dawn Rashad, comes from Jane Doe, right? Yeah, even though she didn't testify anything about Diddy doing things to her to make sure she doesn't testify. She didn't testify. Okay. But it must be known, okay? So it must be known that it was a threat. For forced labor, okay? For forced labor, 18 section 1589A requires use of force or use of physical restraint. That's okay. Because forced labor means that if you don't do it or you don't work, you get your ass beat. Well, they say that the sex work was forced labor for Cassie and Jane. If they didn't suck that escort's cock, you know, one of those.
Wow. That's
they
crazy.
also allude to pretty much forced labor for these inhumane work conditions of these assistants who would be working 18 hours a day. But I don't know if that's the thing that will be. I think they're going to focus on the forced labor of Cassie and Jane. In one specific instance, I believe Cassie took some bad pills. She took some bad pills.
Some bad E.
Wow.
That's when that Fetty Wap started hitting. That young Fetty.
In one instance, Cassie took some bad pills. Cassie threw up. She threw up.
Yeah.
Diddy told her, girl, get it together and get back on out there. Finish up. Diddy would talk to Jane Doe, Daphne Jordan, and give her words of encouragement to say,
Fucked up.
we gotta finish strong. She would say, my pussy sore. I can't do this no more. Diddy would have 2 more niggas lined up. Remember, sometimes they were doing all-star free calls. She said, I'm sore. Cassie said, I got sores on my tongue. I don't know. Cassie would tell her, I got a UTI. Diddy would say, let's finish them strong. Get on your job. Diddy puts Bill Belichick to shame. You got an ACL injury? Nigga, get back out of here. The fuck? Y'all good? I know we got a couple extra people in the building today. We got a couple extra. Alright, Ruben Red, thank you for all the gifted memberships, my boy. Panda, what up? Thank you for 5. So hit that like button. Everybody hit that like button. We're on Verdict Watch today. I'm bringing Lauren Conlon live and in person. Cali for Life said, Act State prayed up, give it to God and leave it there. Rock Nation arms in 2 boxes. Too short to box to be almighty. God has made my little phone slave. It's crazy. Yeah, Puff was on his Coach Carter vibes. I agree with y'all. I said Kobe played on a broken leg. Goddamn UTI, you gotta fuck 3 niggas. Like, Jesus Christ. I'm not a female, but I can just imagine a urinary tract infection. It's killing me. Her tongue has sores on it. And Diddy was still saying, no, you need to suck that nigga's dick. My chat queens are just 2 classy individuals.
Man, this shit is crazy.
I ask them type of crass questions because they won't get down with that type of behavior. Just for inquiring minds. Any of my chat queens in here suck some dick till you got sores on your tongue? What type of shit?
Yikes.
If you got a witness in the building, does anybody could testify to that? That's what happened when you suck too much dick. I don't even think that's normal. I don't think that's normal.
Crazy hack.
Any of y'all chat queens ever suck so much cock that sores was on your tongue?
Lord.
What's that commercial? How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Roll or a Tootsie Pop? Whatever the fuck that is. How come that motherfucker never had no sores on their tongue? How the hell? How much penis are you sucking? This is getting out of hand. I could tell you that Diddy was on some Coach Carter vibes. He ain't give a fuck about an injury. Diddy said he was setting up a freak off. The girl had to send the picture of her period blood. Chat, let me tell you this. Any of my players in here, the chick about to come over.
That's crazy.
If you don't really know like that, if it's your girl, maybe that's different. But she like, yeah, I'm on my period, but I think it's like the last couple days. You're like, no, stay home, girl. Stay the fuck home. She don't gotta tell you. Just stay home. You chilling with her, whatever. Y'all get a little freaky. She's like, oh, I'm on my period. You don't be like, let me check. You're like, nah, you good. You good. You straight.
Straight up.
But to get a hall pass out of these freak offs, they had to send the period blood. Nigga, look at it, nigga. Here's a tampon, nigga. Here's a tampon, nigga. I am out of commission. What's going on, man? That is what they doing.
Diabolical.
Diddy wasn't taking no for an answer. Alright, some of y'all freaky. Sandy Cardano talking about issues spotting her. Nah. Brown Skin Dragon says,
crazy.
Mad flavor, heavy flow. Wait, Brown Skin Dragon, if you got niggas in the box in the period.
Mad flavor, heavy flow. That's diabolical. These motherfuckers is crazy in his chat.
I'm with you. I don't.
My gang don't do all that, man. These niggas is crazy.
Because here's the thing, you have to realize, a lot of women they're supposed to have some type of decorum in class. You never know. It's going to be it's like a petri dish now. It could be a bad vagina name. I don't know. Maybe she's probably abused. She got a yeast infection, BV or whatever. She ain't trying to tell you that. It's embarrassing. She told you she's on her period. She don't want you down there. Don't ask some more fucking questions. Keep moving. Get a little head. Right? But if you like, nah, man, fuck that. Nah, we need you in this freak off. 3 niggas ready to fuck. Interesting. The judge says a person may withdraw consent and it may become forced labor. Sex traffic will have the same definition in counts 2 and in counts 4. In transportation engaged in prostitution, it will be the same as count 3 and count 5. The judge says next is distribution of narcotics, including this long word that you've seen here, knowingly and intentionally. Distribution actually means the transfer, which means delivering it from one person to another. For possession, physical custody is not needed. Control is enough. The judge says, so basically what we've realized, the AUSA was right. Selling drugs is not necessary for distribution of narcotics. It's only having control of them, whether you're in possession or you're in control, and sending it out or giving it out knowingly and intentionally. So as long as the transfer happens, that's kind of interesting. Right? Now, here's the thing about this particular predicate offense under the RICO statute. Right? All of these that we've read: forced labor, witness tampering, kidnapping, I don't think it's called arson yet. They all fall under the RICOs. They're still on the first count. Now, I'm going to tell you why this is interesting about distribution of narcotics. Well, if everybody was drug addicts, and everybody was taking drugs, is it reasonable to say that other people had they had it under their control, or maybe they're not drugs? Could you 100% say that Cassie was buying drugs himself? By the way, defense proved Cassie did buy drugs in time. Matter of fact, they even highlighted the portion where Diddy was upset that Cassie's friend, I believe Carrie, or was it maybe Mia? It might have been Mia.
Bringing her drugs.
Mia allowed her to take drugs. And she says, why do you keep letting her get so high? What that shows is that not all the times Diddy, there was drugs around, Diddy was the one administering it and the one in controlling it. However, does it mean that he was never the one? No. And does he need to be the person doing it all the time? No. But that gives a little bit of reasonable doubt, if you ask me, to the minds of the jurors to say, how do we know that these people didn't request it from him, or didn't ask for it, or didn't buy it?
Facts.
Yeah, Diddy's a financier.
I need some.
They're getting drugs from them. Also, we have no drug charges. We have no debt to rights shit. That,
One thing I know about a motherfucker that do drugs, they gonna find some drugs. No matter what. Who or when, they gonna get them drugs.
No, I'm sending this, I'm sending this drugs to you. I'm getting the drugs. Now, there is stuff of Diddy buying drugs. And that's gonna get a little murky as well. The judge says RICO has a 5-year statute of limitation. You must find that it continued past 2019. If you find that the government has not proved this beyond a reasonable doubt, you must find the defendant not guilty. Now that's going to be very, very, very important. This is a huge line, and this line could help Diddy avoid jail. Let's speak speak on.
Mrs. Officer.
Let's say we're in the thought of saying, well, Cassie was sex trafficked. And by the way, this is why they have Cassie sex trafficking as its own charge, which is count 2. We ain't getting there yet. But the RICO might erupt at this point. Let's say you say, nah, he definitely did all that shit. Up until he met Jay. That bitch is free. That's 50 cents X. That's a fucking. If these behaviors didn't continue past or post Cassie, they must choose to vote not guilty. Diddy is not guilty of RICO. If they cannot prove all of those 8 things or any of the 2 of the 8 things didn't continue past 2019. So let's think about it. Let's go back to the 8 predicate offenses of RICO. Kidnapping. Was there any allegations of kidnapping post 2019? Was there? I gave you 3. Cassie to the hotel. Mia to the thing that they could quiz her about the stolen jewelry. Capricorn Clark to Kid Cudi's house. All of those things happened beyond 5 years. Arson, that happened in 2011 and 2012. Beyond 5 years. Bribery, well, that did happen in 2024. They're accusing that bribery and witness tampering happened. And that's why I think those 2 things are important. They had to throw them in there because otherwise it's only going to be sex trafficking that kept happening, right? Well, transportation, that's the whole gimme, right? Well, I guess the drugs too. Okay, so the things that we know for a fact, so when the jury's sitting down, they got to prove, first of all, is the statute of limitations correct, right? Which, by the way, they've kind of done that already, but it's a different type of vote because they did this in grand jury. They got a grand jury to say that happened, but now we've had the trial, some of these things just fall flat, right? But that's not, it doesn't matter if it's true or not because this is about time period of the allegation. We didn't get to, is the allegation true? Time period of the allegation. There is no kidnapping charge or allegation in a predicate offense sense in the last 5 years. There's no arson. There is bribery, there is witness tampering, there is forced labor, because they kind of match up with sex trafficking. Forced labor of Jane Doe, sex trafficking of Jane Doe, transportation of prostitution, Anton and all the other dudes, and Jane Doe, intent to distribute narcotics. Yes, so they have 6, so it's pretty much 6 that they have to at least believe that happened. Now, did these things happen? That's later on in the discussion. Okay. So cool. So here we go. So if the RICO didn't continue past 2019, it's not good, right? Okay. This is the most important moments of Diddy's life. I would love to see and hear. I would love to see and hear. I would love to see and hear how he's feeling today, how he's looking today. We've heard about his body language when the closing arguments was being made. They said Diddy wasn't sitting next to the chair like this. He was like this. He fell back in his chair. Fell back in his chair, just kind of like, almost like, really, nigga, that type of shit. When his defense team did their closing arguments, they said Diddy was up here, and he was like, nodding and, yeah, you know? So, Diddy's body language changes. I would love to see what the body language is today. I would love to even know what's important. This is very important. This is the most important. I think it's going to happen in 3 days. If it happens today, it's crazy. But I think it's going to happen in these next 3 days. And this is going to be super, super, super important. for in how he presents himself? Does he come off like a pompous, arrogant person? I'll give you an example. Now this is civil, not federal. This is not a United States jurisdiction. But Conor McGregor, he got found liable. That's what they say in civil court. It's liable or not. He's not guilty of doing something. Because civil jurisdiction does not take precedence on the crime. They take precedence on it liable for the crime committed, which they don't need beyond a reasonable doubt. They need a preponderance of the evidence and the preponderance of just majority. Now I'm gonna tell you why I bring this up. Okay, he since appealed the lawsuit, but I'll tell you why I bring this up. According to people, and I watched a whole long thing, there was a journalist that was in there watching every day. They said Conor McGregor showed up to court like how he shows up to the ring. Chest out, walking up in there, wobbling like he about to go to a UFC fight, scoffing at shit. He was arrogant, pompous. He was acting like, yo, I'm too good to be here. Y'all peasants got the chance to lay your eyes on me. That's enough. This like an appearance. They humbled him real quick. Guilty. Yeah, well, found guilty, but lied. Right? Lost it. They believe the bravado in which I think he may have taken a stand. Yes, he did. Apparently, when he was talking about the woman, he was basically saying, man, are we serious? This bitch wanted that shit. Stop playing with me, man. Come on, man. That didn't play to me. The arrogance, the pompousness. So I bring it back to the Diddy trial, and I say, you know, Diddy, it's the first time we've seen Diddy dressed in age-appropriate clothing. They said Diddy is wearing them, he dressing like Bill Cosby from the Cosby Show. Yeah, he got them little sweaters. Like he dressing like a huckster, you know? This is how he dressing. He wearing shit like this now. You know, it's like, it's very, yo, I'm an older guy. Yeah, this is Diddy up in court. Take it easy on me, right? Take it easy on me. Don't do me too crazy. This ain't Pop. This ain't Pop, Jack. Nah, this ain't Pop. This is Cliff Huxtable. You get what I'm saying? And that does matter when you're looking for these people to perceive you as maybe someone wrongly indicted. I know they try to get that in the closing arguments, which the judge had to make a verbal correction to the jury, but they're trying to come off with this approach because remember, Diddy's lawyer, Mark McNiffalo, literally said they targeted him. They're targeted him. He wants to look as like someone, you can't look like you're the top Don Dada and people feel bad for you being targeted. Now if you look a little meek and a little like damn, look at him. Nigga grayed up from the beard up. Nigga's fully gray. He's dressing different. It's intentional. It doesn't look like pocket square, like, you know, got a double-breasted like suit. No. Let's keep it. Let's find it. This is the first time Diddy ever looked his age. Diddy's 55. How old is he? First time. When he was running around with Young Miami, he got a button up on that's tight as a motherfucker with 3 buttons open up. He wanted you to see the chest hair. You know what I mean? Not like that in court. Clear. Right? So I would love to hear from the people in court to hear how Diddy up in there rocking. The judge says on the sex trafficking, which is counts 2 and 4, a transport means to take and convey from one place to another. Reckless disregard satisfy the statutes. Okay? The deliberate closing of eyes. You must be unanimous on at least one specific instance of sex trafficking. You gotta be unanimous. I think one incident, and I think their strongest incident, or actually 2 incidents for Jane Doe, 50's baby mom, is gonna be when they say, well, she had gotten her ass beat, and then he called over Anton, and he forced her to fuck. Remember, sex trafficking. It means force, fraud, or coercion. Well, if you just got your ass beat, that's what. And then the other instance is when she went for her birthday, and she flew somewhere, and she said, for my birthday, I just want to be with you, Diddy. Just you, me and you. I don't want to do a freak off. And Diddy said, sorry, baby girl, we're going to go out, we're going to do nice things. We ain't doing no freaky shit, none of that freak off shit. Simultaneously, Diddy hit up an escort and said, yo, link up over here. He lied to her. That's fraud. He told her, you're coming here not to do A. She shows up. He has her doing A. He lied. That will be fraud. There is a coercion that's in all of these situations, because they're saying he coerces them with his money, his fame, his resources, hanging a career over their head, hanging their house over their head, and that's how he coerces them. Keep going. Here we go. The judge says prostitution is engaging sexual activity for money or its equivalent. You must be unanimous on at least one specific act of transportation with intent to engage in prostitution. On venue, the U.S. must prove at least one act occurred in SDNY, and it's 8 counts. Okay. So because they charged this in SDNY, and I don't know if you know this, chat, they could have charged, and here's the thing, it depends on how bad they did. Even if Diddy beats this case, he can still get brought up on other charges in other states. Take R. Kelly, for example. R. Kelly had 2 federal charges, or federal cases, that kind of captured some of the same behavior, but they were looked at differently for how they were being charged. So they might have caught him on a, okay, this is your RICO charge here, that's a predicate offense, then they would bump it up to a standalone charge in another place, right? So a lot of the, if we're going to say prostitution, it happened pretty much in Miami, in LA, but also New York. So it says prostitution is engaged in sexual activity for money, or its equivalent. Do we believe that Jane Doe was having sex for money? Now, here's where it gets tricky. She's getting an allowance. She's getting an allowance. What we never got into was the details of the love contract. If the love contract had said, you have to fuck me 15 days out of the month and you get 10 grand, that would be very profound and really dead to rights you got Diddy. But it's reasonable to assume that Diddy was just taking care of it. Now, did she have a financial interest that may have encouraged her to do certain things? Yes. Is that flat out prostitution? And I'm ad-libbing here, but I believe this is true. I think this is a reasonable assumption. You have to somehow have the agreement to say this money is for sex. Because otherwise, anytime you have sex with a woman and say, I don't know, afterwards, or say later, or say before you bought her lunch, it'd be like, no, you bought her lunch was for the sex. Like, that wouldn't be a fair way how to try to prosecute. Because basically, anyone you have sex with, you could never exchange money with, right? Because it could be seen a certain way. It could be seen, interpreted. And a lot of stuff is up to interpretation. So I gotta imagine there has to be some agreement. Yo, you're giving me this for that. So you must be unanimous on at least one specific act of transportation. And on the venue, the U.S. must prove at least one act occurred in the Southern District. This is why they kept using the Trump Hotel again. And they're trying to prove that that's where a lot of the food goes happen. That's why they show the bill. There's a lot of bill of hotels. They're saying this happened and within the Southern District of New York, Manhattan. Okay? Manhattan. The judge said we're in the home stretch. In Wayne expert testimony, you should not just accept it because I allowed it. The testimony of the government officials are not worth more or less weight than any other witness. Witnesses given immunity should be examined with greater. With greater, I don't know what that word is. Greater scrutiny, I guess, than ordinary witnesses. Charts and summaries, demonstrative aids, they're not evidence and will not be available to you in the jury. Scott Dark Web, thank you, my boy, for the 10. I'm a trucker, man. I took the month off the road, and I'm back out here now. I'm excited to catch up on all this news from the trial and the industry. While I drive, we appreciate the hours you put into this trucker chat. Now, I'm telling you, man, I love my truck job. My truck job is in my delivery guys. You guys, I'm telling you, y'all the people who, y'all probably watch the entire stream. Not saying everybody else doesn't, but I know y'all watch the whole stream. Y'all be happy. You got to stay up. And if I do a service to you by helping you stay up while you travel all across the country, I appreciate you. Hopefully it's like I appreciate you. All right. Yeah. Judge is giving these instructions. It's getting there. Diddy just, yeah. See? It's these type of outfits. Look at this. Chill. What? Why to put Diddy in heels? But Diddy does not look. You got to put the gray hair. Got to put the gray hair. Got to put the gray hair. It's getting down to the wire, people. Getting down to the wire. It appears they might start deliberating at lunch. That's how you do it. Still waiting. Look, we need to figure out how they show up to work today. How are they showing up to work today? Anyone who knows, anyone who maybe this is how they showed up today. June 30th. Wow, very different. It's kind of somber, right? Very different energy. Sometimes we see them coming in. Yeah. Like this time, I think they're realizing this process is over. Finally got bodyguards now with the suit on. Why does this look like Ice from the Joe Budden podcast? This looks like officially Ice from the Joe Budden podcast. Am I tripping if I make an assumption about body language? They don't look the most upbeat. Don't look the most upbeat. Quincy been there. No, that's not Quincy. This is Christian. Christian been there the whole time. He looks a little down. I could be reading wrong into this. This is Justin here. Looks like he got a lot on his mind. I fully understand it. Here comes the girls. These twins right here, matching hairstyles, matching outfits all the time. Like, damn. Who's that? Here's the mother. Who's that? Lawyers, I guess? We are down to the final moments, people. Jack, can we get a preliminary, we need a vote. Let's run it for as long as we can on YouTube. We need a vote on what do you think the verdict is going to end up being. Do you think that Diddy will be found guilty or innocent? We'll keep it that broad right now, even though we have to go down per charge, which is fine. Here we go. On section. Certain witnesses were permitted to be identified by pseudonyms. That should bear on your evaluation of credibility. The defendant had no responsibility to testify, and he did not. You must not attach any significance to that. Voluntary intoxication may negate the intent requirement. Ooh, that's another thing. Remember at the beginning, I said that Diddy was doing something adjacent to an insanity plea where he's like, yo, I was drunk the whole time. So basically, he's saying that, like, yeah, and remember I told you it was to try to, like, let people understand that if you see these mood swings or, like, outbursts, it's, oh, no, I'm drunk, I'm high, that's not me. Now we get to realize where it really plays in. It's going to negate the intent requirement. So voluntary intoxication may negate the intent requirement of the RICO predicate. Uncalled witnesses. Yes, you've heard the names of people not called as witnesses. Each side had an opportunity to call them. Do not speculate or consider this. It's going to be very important when it says voluntary intoxication. What do y'all think? You know, when it comes to that Cassie beating video, Diddy wants to say he was drunk. He got in a fit of rage because he was intoxicated. He wasn't trying to sex traffic her and bring her back to the room for the freak off. In actuality, she never went back to the room to have sex. Now, the prosecutors came back and said sex trafficking doesn't mean she had to have sex after the beat and you're pulling her back to the room. Sex trafficking means that you pulled her back to the room with intent to have sex. What Diddy's also saying, I was drunk, bitch. I was drunk. I was off that motherfucking Terramana. I was off that liquor. I was off that. Blame it on the juice, blame it on the alcohol, blame it on the 2C, blame it on whatever, blame it on the pills, the ecstasy, the Molly, blame it on anything, blame it on the cocaine, blame it on something else. I said, Pop not guilty. Now, what I think this is a weak statute or not statute, but weak explanation about voluntary intoxication, saying it could negate. Then they say may. It does. May negate the intent requirement. Here's my thing about that. If the pattern of behavior is from 2004 to 2020, and some of the violence and the other behavior has continued all throughout those years. Diddy went to rehab. He went to rehab at the time, but it continued after that. So if you're saying that it was drugs, you claim you got help with drugs, and then you still did the behavior. You even did one called the sober night. The sober night. Remember? They had a sobriety night. Remember, this is after the All-Star Freak-Off. Jane Doe complained about the drugs making her feel not good. Also, Diddy a real freaky nigga. Diddy brought a prostitute that was musty. Body odor kicking on 1,000. Jane said, I can't fuck it. I can't suck that dick. That dick. It smells disgusting. Then Diddy said to the prostitute, well, and I'm colloquially calling them prostitutes, even though none of them have admitted to be prostitutes. So we're going to just call them, well, I won't even call them sex workers. They're as But for the idea that drugs fueled all of this and anything you saw Diddy was the mastermind of, maybe it was only because he was on drugs. He did do this as well sober. He did this as well sober. Chat, I see what y'all saying. That's the true definition of a sour D. Yeah. Diddy wanted her to suck the dude up when the dude was musty. Dude was musty. Diabolical. Very diabolical. Nate Dogg, I see you, my boy. I see you. I see you. There's a lot of people with a lot of things too. A lot of stuff going on. long content.
So there are so many going on. Right? Options look great. Options look very similar than what they did while they were hearing testimony.
Okay, so this is it. By the way, chat, I've been looking for juror number 6. Juror number 6. You have been dismissed from the case. Big Act want to talk to you. Big Act needs to talk to you. We have to speak to somebody who's a juror who sat through this, and yes, he was dismissed because of a candor issue. However, we wanted to get his perspective. He was a black male. What did he feel, and where was he leaning to with all these charges? Did he think that he was guilty? He sat through the entire trial. The entire trial he sat through.
Instructions does the jury get to understand what the job is once it's
So there are always general instructions, a series of general instructions having to do with their obligations as a jury, including, but not limited to, things related to evidence as a general standpoint. Here's how you're supposed to weigh evidence. Here's what common sense weighs. And I'm not quoting, from exact jury itself, jury instructions, but they do cover what their conduct is supposed to be in, how they're supposed to weigh evidence, and then the specific causes of action themselves. Okay? As it pertains to, racketeering, this is what needs to be shown. And then there's some supplemental instructions that go into a bit more detail about each of the causes of action. So there'll be general instructions about their conduct, the things that they're supposed to do, and how to weigh evidence, as well as things that are specific to the causes of action.
again, it's supposed to take a couple of hours, and then it will be in the jury's hands. A couple more comments and questions coming in. I have to shout this one out from Nat Laif. Says I'm having a great year today. Says Chris, you're here. Beautiful. Dr. Hendricks, I'm going to turn to you right now. Someone asks here, I'll get their username in a moment. This is from Sparkle Thickness 5728. Is P. Diddy getting any sort of special treatment as it's been held at the
No, and I think probably the only special treatment he's probably given is where he's being housed in the East Building. You see it said there's two buildings. There's the East Building and the West Building. The East Building is mainly for cadre inmates.
You see? These outfits.
Trustees and things that can move about freely throughout the facility to learn the program. So he's in an open-based setting, and he's housed with probably about 15 to 20 other individuals that are waiting trial. Typically, it's someone who's facing a RICO charge of being in the West Building with other inmates that can either be terrorists, can be maybe drug dealers or violent criminals. So I would say probably the only special treatment he's received this far is where he's being housed. If he is convicted, those.
Now, that's a little bit different than what we heard from, but even though this is state prison. Y'all heard Whack 100, Tory Lanez. He said the floors in the jail is, I see this. So Tory has Louis Vuitton floors. I gotta ask Whack if he's trouble.
They don't care about PC versus General Pop, like honestly.
He's totally wrong. Because that wasn't a GPR. It was a PCR.
Oh, he's in a PCR.
Yeah. So so, and you gotta remember.
Okay, I got it wrong.
Now this
I
is
got
what's
it wrong.
crazy.
Thank you for clarifying.
This
Okay.
is what's crazy.
Now I know we're kind of beyond looking at what Diddy's jail standards are, and it's definitely not comparable. He's in NBC, really a tough place to be. Unlike Tory, that's in California State Prison, which, as much as prison sounds worse than jail, prison is because they plan for a longer stay. They give you a little bit more of a nice regimen and a little bit more amenities. But it gives you some type. The reason why we went to trial is because Diddy really couldn't take jail. And I mean, no one really take jail. Like he wanted to get out of there as quickly as he could, and he exhausted all his options for bail. And as soon as he exhausted, he said, "Yo, let's go to trial. Fuck it now."
And that's why, because the dude was a child molester, so that's why he was in PC. Oh,
Tory just went where they placed him. He's not a Crip, he's not a Blood. Once he gets there, oh shit, this is what they call. Tory was just gonna
matter if he goes to PC or not. Yeah?
I know what the inside of his cell looks like.
Huh.
Literally.
Okay.
I seen the paint. You got Louis Vuitton floors.
Okay. I don't believe that part.
I ever told you some BS?
Tory Lanez has Louis Vuitton floors in his state prison cell.
Y'all believe that? It said Tory Lanez is dripping even in prison. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. I would call cap on that, but there's a famous rapper, I promise, a famous rapper, I won't say the name, and this happened probably over 2 years ago, but I still won't say the name because they're still incarcerated. The nigga FaceTimed me from prison because he said, "Ak, I need you to follow my new Instagram." I think fans took his last one. He said, "I need you to follow my new shit." So I'm popping it out here. Okay? The nigga had on a Cuban chain. I said, the nigga had on a Cuban link chain in jail. So, it is possible. It is possible. And yes, that was federal custody.
R&B.
State prison cell.
R&B. Did Tory Lanez have Louis Vuitton? Bro.
Yes, he did.
You saw this.
I saw it.
I'm going to find it. I'm going to send it to you. I got it. You know,
what is the material made out of?
He got a hold of paints.
Oh, it's just painted Louis Vuitton.
Browns
Okay.
and golds.
Oh, okay.
The nigga who called me had a legit Cuban link. And I look on his neck and I'm like, what the fuck? Like, how does Wi-Fi work like that in there? I would think they would have the Wi-Fi, but I don't know how they got it. It's like, yo, I run this shit. I do whatever I want. I will not say that man's name. I'll just put it like this. I was scared of him in jail. I'm scared of him free and in jail. I'll leave that one alone. Shout out to him.
Joe, I know you're a regular on Long Crime. Kelly P6578 says, "Oh, it's Joe again. Hi, Joe. I think he lives with me." So
Okay. So she's...
He knew that Cassie was working with the guys. He knew that she had powerful statements, and she was up on the stand for multiple days in both direct and cross. And I think she did a really good job of laying out so many facets of her relationship with Diddy, especially the fact that she started, meeting with him when she was 19 years old in the entertainment industry. That she signed this 10-album deal and only produced one because she alleges that Diddy stifled her career. And then, of course, to see the intercontinental video, and then hear Cassie's testimony in regards to all of it. She said she left.
Now, what do you guys think about this portion of it? So, through the direct examination of Cassie Ventura while she was on the stand, it was kind of made to say Diddy did not pursue or had no interest in Cassie's musical career, and he made sure she was unsuccessful, blocking opportunities, doing X, Y, and Z, because he wanted her to find her true calling, which was a free golf 2-time Hall of Fame. All the badges. That's what he thought her true calling was. That's what she pretty much agreed with prosecutors while they were questioning her. However, on defense, they then proved, not through Cassie, but subsequent things, when they had a financial officer up there, they had other people up there, and they proved, they said Cassie was one of the most supported artists on the label, if not the most. So they claim Cassie didn't get lack of support by Diddy. She got more than what she was warranted because she was Diddy's girl. Who do you believe? Who do you believe? Who do you believe? believe that Diddy blocked her from being a star, or Diddy tried everything he could fucking do to make her a star? And when she could be a star, he said, come on home, baby girl. I got a starter spot for you on the freak off squad. Got all type of badges, 99 everywhere. Hall of Fame throat. I don't know about Hall of Fame box, because I ain't gonna lie. This nigga still fucked me up. This guy still fucked me up. I ain't gonna lie. This nigga still fucked me up. Like, I hope this... Did anyone prove that this nigga was telling the truth or what? Because this was diabolical, chat. I'm still in awe. I'm still in awe that chat. I'm still in awe. I'm still in awe. I'm still in awe, chat. I'm still in awe. Here we go.
I know I'll never be able to ask her this question, but her vagina walls.
I don't want to make myself sound like I'm trying to aggrandize myself, but I used to, when Cassie and I would have sex, I would probably take less than 20 strokes to make her orgasm. I never orgasmed with her because the problem was the fact that she's not tight and the baby oil. The baby oil was a problem. The baby oil kind of made sex impossible for a man to enjoy. Baby oil made a loose vagina, looser than it needed to be. So it was literally like a constant, it was like being in hell, being constantly tormented like I was going to have an orgasm, but never being able to have an orgasm because she wasn't tight enough to make me orgasm. But she's orgasming back to back. I mean, I'm in her 20 strokes. Oh my God, she's squirting all over the bed. And then I'm like, yo, can I get something? Oh, I need a second. I think there was a period where
But it's entertaining. Yo, what? How come the liars are the best entertainers?
I had sex with Cassandra, and this is the truth. I don't think I had one orgasm in 6 months every time I met her.
Cassie walls. I know I'll never be able to ask. They didn't put you or Rico on the stand.
No, because they knew we were going to say that she was complicit.
Like, I feel like they have to do some changes when it comes to the laws behind that, because if girls are choosing to have a pimp, and the pimp is there to protect them and ensure that they're not getting mistreated during their encounters with men and stuff like that, and they have to pay the pimp for protection because, like, how is he going to make money? You know, to me, even though, yeah, he did all this shit, but I feel like the feds, they love a big cash out. $400 million is at stake that they're going to seize. I don't think that he'll have money for an appeal. The Justice Department will inherit $400 million that was, I guess, made off of sex trafficking or illegal criminal crimes using his organization, bad boy records and all that stuff. And meanwhile, they get to retire off of that money. And it's like, why are you allowed to retire off of money that you say is made legally, and y'all get to use it to pay federal witnesses and pay for y'all retirement as well too? The money should be burned, right? Nobody should get the money.
True. And it should definitely go to the true victims, some of the male prostitutes as this has happened to.
Wait, the male escorts are not claiming their victims? I don't ever remember these guys.
This one time, the entire living room was dark, which I thought was weird. But basically, in this encounter, what she does is she keeps the room dark so I can't see the fact that she's menstruating. She kind of seduces me into thinking that we're going to have sex regularly because, again, I don't know she's on a menstrual cycle. She gets on top of me. She grabs my member. She inserts it in her because she's already wet. She's on her menstrual cycle. She orgasms real quick, and then I push her off of me, cut the lights on, and it literally looks like the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. It's blood everywhere, and she's heavily on her period. So I'm pissed. I'm like, I said, why would you do something like that to me? This is disgusting. Tasha, the girl is totally shitting on me. She's like, so what? So what? And she's arrogant about it. So Diddy's sitting there watching it. He's her man. He's her protector. I'm getting more and more.
Oh, so according to this guy, I really think this guy's capping. But let's go into like the 5% chance he's not. let's go with 5% chance he's not. Let's go on the 5% chance he's not. His idea is that Diddy was a pimp, and he looked at Cassie like a hoe. That Diddy was pimping. Really?
Aggressive. I'm calling her nasty, bitches. I'm pissed. He says, yo, you know something, bro? You mad cool. It's been like 6-7 years. I'm not gonna lie to you. She knew she was on her period. She just really wanted you to come here. You see how we was calling you. You see how she demanded you come. So she had sex with you. He was like, yo, it was wrong. I'm gonna give you some money. Calm down. Let's not do this. We've been seeing each other too long. He really used to try to be a mediator. I'm not gonna lie. He goes in the room. He gets me like $5,000. He comes out. He gives me $5,000 to stop arguing with her. Tasha, I stopped arguing with her. He says, yo, go check it in your room. He gives me a key for my suite in the Beverly Hills Hotel. I take my $5 cash. I go to my room. I go to sleep. I wake up the next day. She calls me that night. She apologizes about the night before. She says, listen, I was drunk. I'm on my period. I was horny. You really disappointed me by the fact that you didn't want to come. And she said, yeah, what I did was wrong. I'm sorry. I should have told you I was on my period. She totally apologized. So how could you get on the stand and tell the stand that Diddy made you have sex with me when you know for a fact that I know that that's a lie?
Yeah, I think this guy's like a plant. That like he's there to just make Diddy. Because he's kind of saying the opposite of like the prosecutor is saying. He's saying that's why they put him up there, because the prosecutor knew he would expose that Cassie was willing to participate in. She wanted it most of the time.
There was one sex worker. He said that he got paid $5 million because he contracted herpes.
From Diddy? From
Yeah.
Cassie? Diddy. I believe him. When I saw that interview, I knew that the things he was saying was the truth.
Now, again, we haven't heard any sex worker admit that Diddy was fucking them. So if they did contract something, they contracted it from Cassie, right? According to all the sex workers, there is an MO, modus operandi, where Diddy would just allow those people to have sexual intercourse, the male sex worker and Cassie, and then he would go play with the semen like in the other room, and then he would have his treatment. There was one sex worker that did admit that Diddy told him to watch out. Like, it's like, yo, it's my turn now to fuck her. Like, hey, get out of the pussy real quick. It's my turn now. But Diddy never was ever intimate. We've never heard from someone who admitted that he was intimate with them as a male sex worker. Okay?
I didn't see Jonathan Oldie's interview until 2021. And when I saw it, he said I was a sex slave for Cassie. It was like, oh my God, this guy's talking about my life. This was me. Who the hell?
He was making this shit up because he was like gonna kill Trump, and then he comes out with this interview talking about, yo, I was a sex slave, and we looking like, what?
He was younger. He was more attractive. You know, just like me, I'm older now, but at the time I was bigger, I was younger, I was more attractive. It was easier if you were in that lifestyle and you had a certain type of body, the conceit, the chest, the arms. It wasn't really hard to be noticed by the right people. So I got noticed by Cassie, and that was pretty much history.
Somebody just said in the chat, yeah, I think that Diddy had erectile dysfunction. Yeah, I think Diddy had erectile dysfunction. By the way, I was watching this, and yes, we're still going through jury instructions. I'm waiting for some more tweets. Don't you worry. We're doing all hands, 360-degree coverage of this Diddy case, and we're gonna give you every portion of it. Okay.
It's day 26.
Doctor. All right, let me see. What am I talking about? Real life insurance. Okay. So the Punisher claims that he got erectile dysfunction because he said, and like, and I want real niggas, but also like, you know, obviously my Jack Queen's in here to chime in on this. I was watching this last night. I was thinking like, and that's cool. What he said was he felt he developed. He said that the situation with Cassie and Diddy helped contribute to why he had erectile dysfunction. So he developed a case of erectile dysfunction, and it came from, he said he was always drugged up during sex. And he even admitted, he said, yo, all these like performance enhancement pills that he would take, number one, he couldn't nut. And I'm being a little bit crass here, like, but I'm trying to keep it on some shit that makes sense. He said he couldn't orgasm because he was always jacked up on pills, and he was taking pills so much that without pills he couldn't couldn't get an erection. Let me have him explain it for a second.
Nah, so the way it was set up is she testified performance. So I was involved in stations, and I'm on the phone, and I told this circle of dudes from my gym on a group chat that it happened. This is on trial. I'm testified. I was investigated for what I really thought. I thought maybe he was like leaking it. You know what I'm saying? That's what I thought. Right?
So he's going back to, he said there was specific instruction on how he had to come on
all around the outside. And the reason why I suspected it was it was like mandatory that I had to finish each session orgasm. And it had to be specific. It had to be all around the outside of the vagina. You know what I'm saying? And what made me kind of figured something was going on with it. And honestly, what I really thought, maybe he was like leaking it. You know what I'm saying? That's what I thought, right? But I don't know. I didn't see it. That's what I thought, right? But the cue was I would do it. And so, mind you, I told you, all the couches are covered in sheets. We start wearing towels. And when I would finish, she would never wipe off. He would get up, walk out the room. She would follow him. And she would follow in a way to make sure it doesn't come off. So I suspected something, but I didn't know it was the nipple. Did you lather it?
Okay. We have the tweets, we have the remaining amount of tweets until the judge dismisses people, so let me get to them right now. So the judge says, any notes that you took are only for you. No outside reading. You're to consider only what was presented within the four walls of this courtroom. You may not communicate about this case, including on X, Instagram, and YouTube. If you see this, tell my deputy. He says, don't be swayed by the bias, including implicit bias. These hidden thoughts can impact what we hear, see, and how we remember it. You will now retire to consider the case. Each of you must decide the case for him or herself. After deliberating, your verdict must be unanimous. If you are divided, do not report the specifics. Your foreperson will send out any notes, any verdict. Any communication with the court should be in writing. The alternates do not have to be there, but have your phone number to my deputy. You may be called to replace a jury. You will be called when a verdict is reached. The alternates are 234, 230, 247, 292, 321, and 330. Those in the top row. The judge says do not read any news report about this trial. If there were to be any, please accept my heartfelt gratitude for your service over the past 2 months. And even more, my deputy will provide my personal contact info. I could give you a tour of the courthouse. Alternates now. The judge says, here's the verdict. Only if you find the defendant guilty of count 1, answer to each predicate. Not proved or proven. And did sex trafficking involve Cassie or Jane? Count 2, 3, 4, and 5. We need to hear not guilty or guilty. The judge says from now on, your schedule is on your own. You will be provided with meals. Now the marshals will swear you in. You get sworn in. Now the jurors can head back to the jury room, and I want all to rise. AOC Johnson says we object to the inclusion of the subject lines of the BlackBerry messages like I'm so horny. Wow, this is like a 10th-hour objection. Wow. Estavio says it's common for exhibits to include subject lines. BlackBerry messages are more akin to email than to text messages. The judge says let's have only neutral lists go to the jury. I'll trust the parties to provide an appropriate laptop to the jury. I'm going to stick around for a bit, but we may stay here for as long as they wish to deliberate. At the end of the day, we'll bring them in. The judge says I appreciate the congeniality of both sides of this case. Anything more before we adjourn? Homie says no. Can we go to another floor of the courthouse? The judge says, just give us your cell phone. journey. Okay? So here now. Okay? Jury will be deliberating. This can take any amount of time possible.
Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the 7th Street New York Courthouse. Today, Monday, June 30th, 2025. It's day 33 of U.S. vs. Sean Combs, including a possible verdict today. I mean, deliberations will begin. Whether the verdict is today, we don't know. Jury instruction will be read by the judge. It wasn't put into the docket. This is kind of unfortunate. And then deliberations will begin, and at any time. And I'm assuming that there'll be some notes, and we'll be obviously live tweeting that. The notes will come out. Often then there's a negotiation of how to answer an oral question, legal question, and sometimes they'll ask for testimony and then they got to go and redact it. Hopefully they've done a lot of the groundwork for this because they're facing a deadline, and we'll get to in a moment, as with the quote-unquote, and I'm putting it in quotation marks, big beautiful bill, there's a deadline. Now this deadline, whatever, July 4th is a holiday, so if the Diddy verdict jurors do not reach a verdict, they'll just have to be coming back on Monday. They could conceivably come in on Thursday, but I don't know. I don't know if we'll get that long. Let's transition. Actually, no. Still, yet more on the Diddy docket. We put up week 7, the book, closings to deliberations. It's actually the longest one so far because there were a lot of words last week. 2 long closings, and we covered them. And we also have some analysis and some other cases that weren't. So check that one out. I think that's on numerous other crypto cases.
Okay.
Okay, here we.
Watch out. We have a jury. So the jury is now deliberating. Whenever they're back, they'll pop up back.
Did you ever ejaculate in it? Like, maybe he was like, got one off and he's like, oh, let me.
Nah. Nah, never that. And the truth of the matter is, I never made it to orgasm from penetration.
Gotcha.
We would always do.
That's interesting. And I'm not speaking about how loose her stuff is or whatever. Everybody says that with cats. They don't ejaculate from penetration. Number one, I don't think that's really all Cassie's fault. I think there's this high pressure moment, you're supposed to perform. When you then find out it's Diddy, there's like just much more burden of expectation because you now, especially if this guy here, was the only one fucking Cassie. He didn't think Diddy had a bunch of other people. So he's thinking that, all the pressure is on me because I'm doing something that Diddy can't do. So it's very pressured,
Penetrate, because I was medicated up, man. I was on a bunch of pills. I don't know if you ever over-medicated on pills, but you know, you can't fish nothing, right? So we would always finish sex and then I would have to rub it out. I would have to rub it out. So it was very direct. Huh? Oh, God, I was on every pill I could find. Like, I was uncomfortable, so I had to.
In your book, you describe erectile dysfunction as freezer.
Yeah.
That name is wild. So how did you come up with that name in particular?
Alright, so real talk, how I got the name. I was on vacation with this girl. We was at Turks and Caicos, and so we on this beach. Turks and Caicos got this beach, man, where you can walk like a mile out into the water, and it comes to your waist. Yeah, it's the bomb, right? So we out there, and during this time, I was already dealing with the kind of erectile dysfunction issues, but it was mental. But I'm out there in this paradise, and I didn't get anxiety. And we messing around in the water, and I got gripped. And so when we messing around, she reached down, and when she grabbed me, she said, "Damn, this thing is hard as freezer meat," right? So she said it to me, and at the time with me already dealing with erectile dysfunction, getting that type of compliment was like, oh, you know what I'm saying? So that always stuck with me. And at the time, I didn't realize it was anxiety causing it. I came back with some dumb, it must be the Caribbean. We got sun, and the sun's from the Caribbean, and so I believed that was it. but it kind of set a standard that I was trying to get back to. So I named the book In Search of Freedom.
For men that are dealing with that, like, what would you tell them some things that they can do to come back from that situation?
I mean, what I would tell them to do first and foremost is you gotta understand it's mental, right? It's mental. And so what I was doing that was messing me up was I kept trying to fix a mental problem physically.
Right.
The Cassie stuff contributed. That's why I put it in the book. So, and a lot of dudes is messing up. You got a lot of guys that's younger that's using pills and using enhancements that really don't need it.
For sure.
Right? So I started the same thing. I started taking pills in my 30s when I didn't need it. And then you get into a scenario where now you're dependent on the pill. And if you get into a situation with pressure, because we all every now and then meet a girl that's like, yo, I gotta put this down and make sure I come correct. And if you run into a scenario where you don't perform, now you're thinking the pill didn't work. And so in the Cassie Diddy situation, what I would do is you're supposed to take one pill 20 milligrams, and going into that situation, one pill 20 milligrams is good, but the anxiety made me take, next time I'm gonna take 2 pills. Next time I'm gonna take 2 pills in a honey pack, whatever, and that don't do anything. Your blood vessels can only open up to so much, and that's what pills do. So when you overdose on pills, it ain't working no more for you. But anxiety creates cortisol, which constricts your blood vessels. So I'm taking all these pills, doing all these things, not addressing the anxiety. So I was telling you, first thing you gotta understand that's your mind, right? And then once you understand it's your mind, then you play around with what remedy you're gonna use and get yourself as comfortable as possible. And if that still doesn't work, you know, like I say in my book, there's other things you can do, and I kind of chronicle all the things that I did to fix it leading up to the ultimate thing, which is an implant, you know? But so, and the biggest thing about it is don't give up.
What was the worst thing that was causing it through your chapter? Like, what was the worst thing that you figured out for you that was causing the anxiety?
So the worst thing that I figured it out, and you know, I got to keep it this way, it's the feedback from your lady or the woman that's in your life, right? You know, it's already, as guys, as we get older, we already understand we ain't the same dude when we was on 20s. You know what I'm saying? So you're gonna feel there's a difference. Even if you're still doing your thing sexually, you ain't that guy, right? And so what killed me was I had a woman that I was into, I'm dealing with her, I'm thinking I'm holding it down sexually, and then she ended up cheating on me. And when I asked her what for, she blamed it on me. Oh, you weren't coming like you. I would have said I had things I wanted to do. So when you,
I ain't gonna lie, man, I think they stole my Chick-fil-A game. It's great. All right, is my man Sean G on? On jury watch, chat. I think they're gonna probably opt to take lunch. I mean, they're adjourned, so it's like the judge says, there's a timer here. The judge says they're gonna be sticking around. Why don't you give me this updates, man? Come on.
my very first encounter when I showed up for what I thought was a party, Ms. Ventura, I quoted the price, it's $200 for a dancer. She gives me a location and a time, and I show up to do a little show.
And that was when you met, was Cassie that reached out to you?
Yes, it was Cassie that reached out to me.
Okay. And then after that, you know, and I want to make this clear. I'm not looking to. I have nothing against Diddy whatsoever. I don't know him. I only know what I'm hearing and what people have told me. But you know, in my position always is innocent until proven guilty. He's got a trial. He'll go through the process. The jury will make a decision, and we'll see what happens after that. So I'm not here to lay anything heavy on Diddy or anything else. I'm just having a conversation with somebody that's in the know about certain things. And then, you know, you kind of notice some things with Cassie. This kind of evolved into something more than just a one-time deal with you, correct?
Yeah, I mean, in total, and I don't even have an exact amount. I estimated 8 to 12 times, and it was over a period of 2.5 years. So, honestly, it could have been more. It's 12, 13 years ago. I don't have a clear indication of how many times or whatever, but I estimate 8 to 12 times.
And you got involved in these, were you given any specific instructions? Because I know you got involved in these free calls, correct?
Yeah, so my specific involvement was always the same. And so my very first encounter when I showed up for what I thought was a party, Miss Ventura greeted me at the door in a robe, which you can tell she was new. So the minute she opened the door, it was an obvious scenario that this was going to be different than a party. And so when we went into the room, obviously there were no guests. It was just me and her at the time. And, you know, we got to kind of like the living room area of the suite. And I still, you know, tried to go the route as if it was a party. So I asked her, hey, what do you want me to change? And she immediately explained to me, look, I don't want you to dance. Me and my husband, we like to create a scene where we want you to change into underwear or a towel. And she pointed into the living room area, which was dimly lit, kind of a sexual ambiance. And all the furniture was covered with sheets. And she said, look, you're going to sit here. I'm going to be here. It was 2 couches adjacent from each other. And we're going to put baby oil on our body and create a skin environment. And at some point, my husband's going to come out to watch. And then she specifically told me, when her husband comes out, I'm not supposed to look at him. I'm not supposed to acknowledge him. I'm not supposed to speak to him. I'm supposed to do my best to act like he's not even there. And she handed me a handful of money. I counted it when I got into the bathroom, and at that time it was $800. So I originally quoted $200. So now I got this beautiful woman in front of me. She hands me 4 times the amount, and it's like, well, hey, I'm gonna try to make this work because, you know, it seemed like a nice payday and simple at the time, you know.
Was that the first time you met Diddy? Or you saw Diddy?
Well, so here's the thing. I didn't actually see him, right? When he did come into the room, and that was, I came out the bathroom with the towel and we started making this scene. And at some point from my peripheral, I could see him walk in the room, but he situated himself all the way across the room, kind of behind a table. It's like a table and chair set up. And he ended up being there, but the odd thing about it was he came in the room pretty much nude, but he had his face covered with, I believe it's called a hijab or a burqa. And this is what the Muslim women wear, where they completely cover their face. You can only see the eyes. So I really had no idea who he was. And initially coming in, I didn't recognize Cassie. She had on a wig.
That would have been
so the distinguishing stuff that would point her out there, her hairstyle, because she has like, at the time she had like a shaved hairstyle, it wasn't able to be recognized, and I really had no idea who they were till much further into the encounters.
So at this point, I mean, it's just a casual encounter, but there was nothing criminal or illegal done at that point. And during the whole session, I would say.
Yeah, nothing criminal and illegal about the session itself. I mean, the only, I guess, the legal scenario would be is the prostitution itself, because it was money in exchange. But this specific situation we're talking about, there wasn't even any sex. My very first encounter, I was told it was creating a sex scene. We created it with just kind of rubbing oil on each other, and she would do gestures, I would do the same, but there was no actual sexual activity between us. And then at some point, who I'm thinking is her husband, Mr. Combs, got up, he left the room, she followed him out, came back and told me, hey, that was great. It was perfect. Thank you. Handed me an additional $1,200 and said, hey, look, I'm comfortable with you. When we come back to town, is it okay if I call you again? And I'm like, absolutely, sure. And she did at that time offer me the option to. She said, hey, do you want to switch? You know, I understand the need that I want to. And I actually declined. You know, I wasn't comfortable with the situation. And I'm trying to be professional, right? Because I believe what the circumstances are. So I said, hey, look, this is not about me. This is for you and your husband. If you're good, I'm good.
In hindsight, I take that question for asking him to finish. Wants to finish? Trump's having nut. Yo, Diddy's doing some weird nut harvesting shit. Got it.
And I declined partially in transparency because the uncomfortability of the situation, I probably had an issue getting an infection anyway, so I declined, and she said fine, and from there, I headed home.
And was that the only encounter you had with her, or were there more?
No, that was just the first. Like I said, it went to 8 to 12. So the next encounter, it was pretty much the same, but it was conversations prior to sexual activity about my sexual health, her sexual health, and the desire to actually do more than just a love. So that's when the sexual encounter started.
And let me ask you that, Sheree. This was considered a freak off, right? Even though there was only just the two of you and Diddy present? Because my impression was that there were always a lot of people present at these freak offs.
Yeah, I think there's a misconception that, you know, Mr. Combs, he's known for throwing these elaborate parties that you can go to a place of the party, and I guess there's sexual activity. And then there's these kind of scenarios with Miss Ventura, where it's just him, her, and a male, and another male creating a sexual environment, and that's being described the same way. So it just appears that anything that he does with a sexual nature, even on a smaller scale or these huge parties, they're all going under the same umbrella as freak off, which I don't know if that's accurate, but that's what everything is being described at. I know when I see myself reported in the media, it says I was a part of the freak off. So this is considered that.
Got it. During any of this time, did you ever see any indication that Cassie might have been in an abusive situation with Diddy?
Not at all. Not at all. I always felt it was consented. I always felt everything was, I always felt she was in her right frame of mind. She didn't appear to be under the influence of any drugs or anything like that. And I never.
It really surprised me that he brought this man. Does he seem credible? Yes. Does he seem credible? Yes. But he's not really saying anything but, oh, okay. Yeah, I was an escort or a dancer at first, and kind of turned to them paying me for sex. But he's kind of saying that none of those acts were non-consensual.
Never seen any interaction between them that seemed something that was distressful for her. The only thing that I did say in my testimony was that I saw moments of what I would consider frustration and her reaction, but that was based on directions. Like during our encounters, he would give directions, which was mainly about this candle. Could move the candle a little bit more, move whatever. Can you move to the left? Move him to the right. You know what I'm saying? Like these things. And sometimes they were repetitive and very specific. So I would see maybe like a, you know what I'm saying? Like that type of stuff, but nothing that would resemble her being in distress.
You know if were these being filmed at all, or they were just encounters for his pleasure only?
So I don't know. It was always in a dark room, and it could have very well been a camera or something set up, but nothing that I knew was present or that I consented to. I had no idea.
Yeah, the reason I ask you that because I think part of the allegations against Diddy is that he would have these films so that he can have a blackmail situation. And again, these are the allegations, not coming from me. that he would be able to blackmail if anybody would turn on him, but you didn't get any indication of that.
No. I mean, I could have very well been filmed, but I have no idea.
Let me ask you, on cross-examination, how did the defense try to portray you? Did they try to beat you up at all? Did they try to discredit you?
Now, that was surprising to me because it was actually the opposite. They actually took a route of creating more credibility. So I guess once they heard my initial testimony, and I'm saying I didn't see any aggression, it seemed consented. The attorney, I think his name is Xavier Donaldson, he went the route of bringing up the fact that I've been a male entertainer for 25 years. And it's accurate. When you walk into a room as a male entertainer, and it's a room full of women you never met, you have to quickly assess the room because you're trying to entertain them in its true nature. So I have to read the room to make sure whoever I'm going to is comfortable with the activity. So he kind of harped on that. Look, we've been doing this 25 years. Would you ever go to dance on a woman or engage with a woman who was uncomfortable with you interacting with her? And the answer is absolutely not. You know, I have to be able to read the room, get to a woman's comfort level and assess that. So then he kind of shifted that narrative to the situation with Miss Ventura. Well, look, based on your knowledge, your expertise of doing this all these years, if you would have noticed her being uncomfortable or in a place out of her mind or not in a proper state, would you have perceived it? And the answer is absolutely not. So I was expecting kind of a tough, because all of my, they do the mock courses.
Right.
So, and their expectation was to discredit and stuff like that, but he actually went a completely different lane and provided more credibility.
Well, that makes sense to me because I think their major defense here in all of this is that all of this was consensual. Nobody was abused, nobody was forced into this, nobody was, physically abused, but this was all consensual relationships, and so it would make sense that they would treat you that way. That's why I asked that question. Did Cassie ever, say to you that she was, obviously we saw the video of what happened in the hotel, so we know that there was that one incident, but did Cassie ever express to you that Diddy was abusive to her in any way?
No, I mean, we actually, other than very, very cordial initial conversation, when I would arrive, hey, how's work, how's things, or whatever, we didn't get into a lot of personable conversation. It was kind of like stuff. So in terms of her confiding in me of anything that could have been going on, it wasn't. I mean, most of the conversation was, again, just checking in on what's going on with me and surfacing. One time I had like a scar on my arm. She mentioned, hey, I got some scar cream, gave it to me, try that. And she more or less just thanked me for keeping their identity and what they do private, in terms of, obviously this has been going on for years and they didn't get any feedback or indication that I'm talking about it publicly and putting their business out. So no, absolutely not. I had no indication.
And when this ended with you, you just weren't called anymore? Did it end on a good note, or they just didn't need your services anymore? How did it end?
So I never had a full reason why it ended, but my assumption was it had went a long period of time where I had not been called. Let's say maybe about 6 months. And during that period of time, I had an injury. I tore my bicep. So, and anybody knows about that injury, it's a rough injury. You can't work out, you can't do anything. It's a long healing process. So after going through that healing process and getting called, me, myself, I know the physical condition I'm usually in is not the same. And also with that long period of time, we're in kind of like a tool scenario. And one of the directions was very specific. We were doing kind of like preliminary stuff. And one of the instructions was he wanted to see so he kind of walked over in the middle of us doing the massage thing. And he actually blew up like a wad of condoms on the couch. And he basically says, I want you to, and honestly, the time in between was never really a comfortable scenario for me anyway. I couldn't perform. So I always assumed the fact that I could not perform that time, and I'm showing up months later, not in great physical shape and stuff like that. I kind of felt like, well, this is a fail. I did not make the fantasy that I was hired for. So I assumed that could be a reason why I wouldn't be called back. So that's my assumption. But that's kind of how the last situation went. That was the last time I was called.
And you never spoke to Cassie again after that?
No communication.
Nor did he?
No, so here's the thing. I never had communication with Diddy the entire time. No, ironically, I never spoke to him. I never had even direct eye contact with him. The first time, after all these instances that I had direct eye contact with him, was leaving the courtroom after I testified.
Wow. And I think it's fair to say, Sheree, that you have no interest in which way this turns out. You know, if he's guilty, he's guilty. If he's innocent, he's innocent. You have no horse in this race, so to speak, correct?
I don't, man. Actually, that is something that I really wanted to portray as solid as possible in my testimony. You know, I am compelled to be here, and I have to give the facts of what I was involved in and what I saw. But I didn't want to have any bias or anything associated with my testimony that seemed like I was in favor of either party. They got 12 jurors there. That's their job to decide.
You know, I think that's really commendable. Having been to trial 5 times myself, you know, the best witnesses are those that have no interest in the outcome. You're up there to tell the truth, and that's it. Whatever way it works out, it works out. So that's commendable. I have to say that. And again, I'm a veteran of those situations. Let me ask you, you wrote a book, In Search of Freezer Meat is the title, right?
Yeah.
Explain that title to me.
All right. Wow. All right. We're getting there. We're getting there.
So, of course, the judge went through all the elements of all the charges that were set traffic at one part of the world. The part of the most part about it is that first, the judge said the government was having to walk for that actions, sexuality, and words shot because you're not going to have all that have signed the contract. Was there any further? And this is really talking about the underlying right that the government has to do to right policy drug offenses. And I thought this was important to help out. The judge said that witnesses who were given the issues that had no responsibility.
Hey, gang. I have to do something for the wife, man. Hey, but y'all already know what it is. We 2 hours strong in this thing. Hit that like, hit that follow. You know what it is. It's your boy Cinco Best, man. Trying to get 100 grand. You know I got the plan, man. I'll see y'all on the next one.